with WNBA star Caitlin Clark's alleged stalker, the suspect in court today, and the bizarre outburst, what he said to the judge. Here's Ariel Reshef.
Tonight, the man accused of terrorizing WNBA Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark for weeks with threatening and sexually explicit online messages appearing in court.
Morning, Mr. Lewis.
Guilty.
No.
55-year-old Michael Lewis charged with stalking for allegedly sending the 22-year-old Indiana Fever star multiple messages and posts via the platform X starting in mid-December. In one message, Lewis allegedly telling Clark that he drove around her house 3 times a day. And in another, he allegedly stated his plan to go to a game and sit behind her team's bench. Police say Lewis even traveled from his home in Texas to Indianapolis to be closer to Clark. Investigators tracking him to a hotel near the team's home arena and questioning him about the messages.
News spread swiftly, but in a society when every word matters, few events have sparked as much rage as the firing of NBC reporter Natalie Esquire. The sports community was rocked by Esquire's tone-deaf remarks about Caitlin Clark's stalking situation. The fact that a major network like NBC cut off ties with a well-known journalist so quickly speaks volumes about how serious the situation is. But what exactly did Esquire say that cost her so dearly? The controversy started with Caitlin Clark, a basketball prodigy who has won millions of fans' admiration with her record-setting performances. Instead of addressing the actual danger and trauma Clark was experiencing, Esquire suggested on live television that Clark should publicly share her experience with stalking. This outrageous statement not only trivialized Clark's suffering but also sparked a fierce backlash from advocacy groups and sports fans alike. Clark recently had a terrifying experience when a stalker traveled across state lines to harass her.
Morning, Mr. Lewis.
Guilty.
No. Sir, this is initial hearing.
Oh.
We are not. You have a right to remain silent, and I expect you to exercise that, okay? This is just telling you what the charges are. You do not listen. I'll give you a chance to talk. It's not your time.
Throw me the bookie.
Stop talking.
By the end of the week, Swift's social media response had gone viral, with hashtags like Protect Hayne trending all over the world and former athletes, journalists, and advocacy groups joining in to denounce Esquire's insensitivity. Her contract was terminated, according to a statement issued by NBC. If you share this story and feel as passionately about it as we do, please hit the like button. This incident goes beyond the error of a single reporter and serves as a wake-up call on how we handle victim narratives in the public light. Additionally, subscribe for more insightful conversations about the issues influencing our world.
Able to secure defensive boards. LSU, an outstanding offensive rebounding team.
Clark connects! Confident in her mid-range.
And I think Iowa is okay giving up the mid-range.
Here's Clark driving in for 2.
Caitlin Clark is more than just a basketball player. She is becoming an icon. But beneath her incredible three-pointers and the roaring applause of the crowd is a tale of incredible fortitude. Not long ago, Clark was the target of an enamored fan who not only went too far, but broke down barriers. She received numerous obsessive tweets from the stalker, a man from Texas, some of which said we were in love and others that emphasized her intelligence and good appearance.
Who, I'm not sure where this quote came from, but he basically said that it's so important that Caitlin Clark did speak to officials.
Yes.
Because a lot of times women will not, because they're scared that they won't be believed. And I think that really, really stands out to me when you were talking about how this
or dismissed as well.
Yeah, exactly. Or will be dismissed. And I think that, when you were talking about women, everyday women, like you and I, or whatever, there are so many times where I have never spoken about some of the emails and messages that I've received and probably will not, because it's just
When Lewis left his Texas home to fly to India, Pacers Sports and Entertainment notified the authorities about the post, according to Marin County Prosecutor Ryan Mee. This abuse was not just on social media. Clark had to call the police and even change her daily schedule for her safety after the stalker loaded his belongings into his car, drove across state lines, and arrived in Indiana in the hopes of meeting Clark. This was not the actions of an overzealous fan. Rather, it was a calculated and dangerous move. Obsession. Maps printed copies of Clark's social media posts and disturbing personal belongings that he claimed were gifts were found when police arrested the man. While Clark continued to excel on the court, setting records and leading her team to victory, she also struggled with a personal crisis off the court. Her prompt action in reporting the stalker not only protected her, but also sent a strong message that no one should have to endure such harassment. This experience serves as a stark reminder of the difficulties faced by female athletes even when they are at the pinnacle of their careers.
It's something that'll be received well, you know what I mean? And so sometimes it's like, that's just a battle that you gotta find on your own. And I know that you've dealt with too. So I think that, you know, I hate that, but I do appreciate that someone like Caitlin Clark at least, you know, spoke to officials and stuff like that. And also, I saw.
And it doesn't seem like it was something she wanted to share, which is not which is not a good feeling. Like, we should not be going around having to feel like that, right? But it got to a certain level where she had to, and I'm really glad she did. I don't know if she'll ever speak on this publicly. We know Caitlin really picks and chooses what to speak on and how vocal to be about things. But I hope she does, because I think it would be really empowering for a lot of women.
Yeah, I understand that sentiment. To me, and this is something I've stood on, I don't, like you said, I feel like I've come to understand Caitlin Clark's, the way that she, you know, operates and talks about certain things. And this is not something that I expect her to talk about or would want her to talk about, because of, like you said, the way that we've seen her kind of avoid stuff like that. And I think that's okay. I think
I wasn't criticizing her for that.
One voice stood out for all the wrong reasons, even as the sports community came together in support of Caitlin Clark. During a live broadcast, Natalie Esquire startled the audience by recommending that Clark talk about her experience of stalking. There is no victim in Caitlin. She said in a condescending tone that she should tell her story if she wanted to be in a leadership position. It is impossible to overstate how audacious this statement is. Clark, who is already dealing with the pain of being stalked, was reprimanded for not making her personal suffering public. Esquire's statements were not only callous, but also careless, potentially putting Clark and other victims in similar circumstances in danger. They also ignored the realities faced by many stalking victims who frequently avoid publicity to protect their well-being.
Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year, and it really is no surprise. She had a remarkable rookie season. She raised the level of the WNBA game and the women's game at large, as well as the college game. She broke so many stats and records. She's a trailblazer right now, and that was just after one season in the WNBA. She is leading the way and blazing a tremendous path in women's sports. So that is your Time Athlete of the Year. You know, one of my colleagues, Callie, said to me they were surprised, and not in a way to suggest she didn't deserve, but, you know, there's a number of female athletes that could have won this award this year. It's been a hell of a year for women's sports.
Esquire's co-hosts made an instant effort to defuse the tension. Clips of Esquire's remarks went viral, sparking a flurry of condemnation. One person even pointed out that speaking out during an open investigation could jeopardize Clark's safety and the legal proceedings, but the harm had already been done within hours.
Leave it all out there. Caitlin, you had at Iowa, both your junior and your senior year, you had 5 or 6 of these, right? Yeah. Where you literally, when you showed up in the arena, you did not know if it was your last game or not. Can you take any of that from junior year and senior year into a situation like this?
Yeah, I think it's you approach it in a way of you don't want this to be the end. You want to keep coming back here. You want to keep coming to practice. You want to keep having shoot around or, you know, have one more game with your team. So I feel like that's how I approach it. I don't want this to end. I feel like it's been a very special year for our organization, and our goal is to get to the playoffs, but everybody in our locker room believes we can really win this series. Obviously the first game didn't go how it wanted to, but, you know, you got to learn from it. You got to flush it. You can't let that dictate game 2. You know, this is obviously a must win for us, and we believe we can come in here and win that. But like I said, we're guaranteed 40 minutes. Like, go out there and play as hard as you can, give it everything you got, and as long as you do that, you can be proud of what you did.
We are committed to the safety and privacy of athletes, the statement said, adding that remarks implying that victims should publicly reveal their trauma do not reflect our values. NBC responded swiftly to the controversy surrounding Esquire's remarks, announcing her termination just 48 hours after they were broadcast. The choice to release Esquire was widely praised, and advocacy groups for victims of stalking praised NBC for adopting a strong stance against victim-blaming rhetoric. Although the network received praise from sports groups like the NCAA and WWA for its quick response, this dismissal sparked a larger discussion about the obligations of journalists covering delicate subjects. Some argued that Esquire's comments were a single mistake. Others, however, drew attention to a concerning trend of sensationalism in sports media that frequently puts controversy ahead of compassion.
Clark weaving into Young, flips it up there. And they're going to call that, I think, an offensive foul on Clark, which is her third.
That's tough. That is going to be tough.
The experience of Caitlin Clark is not unique. Stalking has become a major issue for athletes, especially women, who frequently experience a degree of scrutiny and obsession from social media bullies to loyal followers that their male counterparts seldom ever experience. The risks that female athletes face are severe and pervasive.
Tarika Foster Brasby. My girl, welcome. It's so good to see you. I haven't seen you since the WNBA finals, which wasn't that long ago, but it feels now like such a long time since that ended because so much news has happened. And one of those big, first of all, there were all these like coaching vacancies in the WNBA, which we'll get to, but none other than one that was a very big one, which is the Indiana Fever. And we know that's a team that everyone's focused on and paying attention to because Caitlin Clark is on that team.
Experts warn that this problem has gotten worse as social media has grown. Social media sites like Instagram and Twitter allow stalkers to follow their victims, frequently using posts that are made publicly to learn more about Clark's routines and whereabouts. Even though security measures are getting better, many athletes still feel vulnerable, especially when their private lives are thrust into the public eye. Her stalker's behavior escalated quickly, going from online harassment to physical stalking in a matter of weeks. The sports industry has been slow to address this issue. A sobering reminder of the significant risks involved and the pressing need for improved protections is provided by Clark's experience.
We're obviously marketing around all of our players, but I think Caitlin's lifting everybody.
Yeah.
Our arenas are packed, our viewership. I mean, this is a key part of why I was hired is to look at how to bring in new viewers, new fans, the demographic. We're one of the most diverse demographics in sports, both on the court and now our viewership.
Yeah. It rocks, by the way, when you're in the stadium. We went and loved it.
Belongs to that team. The idea that Clark was required to publicly discuss her experience with stalking was one of the most alarming parts of Esquire's comments. This attitude disregards the fundamental right of victims to preserve their privacy, as stalking is a very personal and frequently traumatic ordeal. In Clark's case, going public could have empowered her stalker, who already saw any attention as confirmation of his irrational connection to her advocacy for public consumption. Organizations swiftly condemned Esquire's remarks, issuing declarations that emphasized the dangers of coercing stalker victims into telling their tales. They stress how crucial it is to let victims choose whether and how to deal with their experiences.
I think the reality of it is that I don't think people would know what else he squared, so shout out to Caitlin.
It's no fun in that. We try to have fun with it, and that's why we've been winning these games. And as you can see, one of our rookies who plays the most, and, but it keeps it fun. It keeps us wanting to come here and do our job even more because we do have fun.
We just had the largest WNBA crowd ever, and you were part of that game. So just want to talk to you about, I know the Fever had large crowds following all season, but what did it mean to be part of history tonight as you guys get ready to head into the playoffs?
It's huge. This is what we've been hoping for forever. So, it's fun to play in front of these games. You never get used to it. Just always showing up and playing in front of sold out crowds. And I mean, shout out Caitlin.
The sports community's response to Clark's predicament was overwhelmingly positive, with teammates, coaches, and supporters uniting behind her and emphasizing the need to put safety and mental health before public appearance. Many WNBA players talked about their own experiences with devoted fans, bringing attention to the particular difficulties encountered by female athletes. Their expressions of support delivered a strong message. Since female athletes frequently deal with an unheard-of level of persistence and aggression, the community recognized that Clark was not alone, and ALS joined the conversation to support her male athletes. This helped to elevate the conversation and make it clear that this is a human issue rather than just a women's one.
This past week, you played both against Caitlin Clark, with Caitlin Clark at the All-Star game. She had super high praise for you, calling you the best one-on-one player in the W. What did you learn about her and her game, playing with her and both against her as well?
Yeah, well, I've been a fan of her since she's been in college, and we exchanged while she was in college because I just love hoopers. You guys obviously see my game, and I see a lot of similarities. She knows how to get a bucket. She can create for herself. She can create for her teammates, and I just love her game. And it's fun playing against her. She brings a crowd every time, so I'm definitely gonna show up. But playing with her, I kind of just got to pick her brain a little bit and just see how she thinks and just how she moves as a teammate. And she's an amazing player. Indiana's definitely lucky to have her, but that's dope for her. She's told me she's liked me a lot, in college and stuff, but that's dope for her to show that praise, on TV and stuff. So she's one of my favorite players in the league as well.
I so love that she pointed out that at one point, she was supposed to come in and sub for you, and she was like, nah, Enrique, she is out there cooking. Yeah.
Clark's strategy for dealing with her stalker can be used as a model for how athletes might protect themselves in comparable circumstances. By swiftly reporting harassment, recording her stalker's behaviors, and working closely with law authorities, she protected herself and stopped the issue from getting worse.
Morning, Mr. Lewis.
Guilty.
No, sir. This is initial hearing. We are not. You have a right to remain silent, and I expect you to exercise that. Okay, this is just telling you what the charges are. You do not listen. I'll give you a chance to talk. It's not your time.
Roll me the bookie.
Stop talking.
Her experience also brought to light the urgent need for improved security measures in sports, ranging from increased event vigilance to better staff training. Athlete safety must be given top priority, and while responsible journalism can inform and educate, irresponsible commentary like Esquire's can cause serious harm.
When it's clutch time, and she said, I've always been a hooper. I just like to play the game. She is for sure a hooper, Callie. She is a bucket getter, right? And she's gonna be in high demand this offseason. She's let it be known that she wants to test the free agency waters. I think the Indiana Fever are not going to allow that.
I'm like, I don't think so, sister.
And they're going to core her. Yes.
You are an Indiana Fever.
They're going to core her. And can you just explain really quickly what coring means for our listeners?
So a franchise can only use one core.
In Clark's instance, her stalker used Twitter to send hundreds of obsessive messages, leaving a digital trail that resulted in threats in the real world. Social media has changed how we communicate, but it has also created new avenues for harassment. For public figures like Clark, maintaining their online presence has become a delicate balancing act between interacting with fans and protecting their privacy. Experts warned that the anonymity provided by social media frequently empowers stalkers, making it easier for them to hide behind fake accounts. This case has prompted calls for social media platforms to implement stronger measures against harassment, from improving reporting tools to ensuring user accountability. There is a growing call for change to ensure the safety of all users.
But I think getting this break is going to be very beneficial for myself and something that I deserve. And at times, I'm just somebody that wants to continue to work and continue to play. And there has to be a point where, that has to stop, and you have to, take care of yourself and do things for yourself. And maybe some of those decisions at times can be hard, and you want to give the world and everybody watching what they want to and help this game get better and better. But I think relaxing and reflecting on everything that's happened to me over the course of the last year is going to be super important, because my life has moved so fast. My life has changed so much.
The criticism of Esquire's remarks went beyond just her word choice. It brought attention to a more significant problem in the sensationalized sports media environment. Instead of offering real insight, journalists frequently decide to concentrate on controversy rather than empathy, creating tales that exploit precarious circumstances. The story of Caitlin Clark is a potent reminder of the media's duty to treat delicate matters with the care they merit. In order to address more general concerns like athlete safety and the dangers posed by compulsive fans, victims of stalking and harassment require compassion and understanding rather than condemnation. Journalists may be extremely important in promoting significant change. This dispute has already caused a change in the way that sports networks handle related stories. Hopefully, this signals the start of a new era in courteous and responsible reporting.